Every time you wait for permission, a piece of your future goes dark. The moment you hesitate, energy drains, clarity fades, and momentum dies. Life doesn't pause for your readiness. It moves on without apology. The day you stop waiting for others is the day your real life begins. Most people don't fail for lack of talent. They fail because they pause at the door, looking for applause. They delay, they doubt, they quit early, hoping someone will push them. But no one is coming. Depending on yourself means you stop negotiating with time. It means you act without waiting to feel ready. You build habits that keep you strong when no one sees, and you trust your word enough to follow through. Confidence is not a mystery. It's self-respect built through repetition. Every time you say, "I will," and mean it, your brain records evidence. I am reliable. That truth becomes your power when fear gets loud. Fear's voice isn't truth. It's noise. You quiet it not by arguing, but by acting. Movement reorganizes your energy, clears your chemistry, and restores coherence. When you act, your frequency sharpens. Life mirrors that frequency. Waiting steals years. You tell yourself you need motivation, a perfect plan, or a louder cheer. But the cure for hesitation is never more thought. It's movement. Mood follows action the way a shadow follows the body. You do not act because you feel ready. You feel ready because you act. This audiobook is your field manual for self-mastery, for learning to move without applause, to create stability through discipline, and to build the kind of strength that does not need witnesses. The world will not slow down for you. So make the decision now. Stop waiting. Start moving. The future begins the second you do. If you're ready to rise above the noise, like the video, it tells YouTube you're choosing awareness over autopilot. Subscribe now and don't miss the next chapter in your evolution. And remember, the deepest transformation belongs to those who stay until the very end. Chapter 1. Stop waiting for someone to push you. You have been trained, since childhood, to look for the raised hand, the approving nod, the signal that it's safe to begin. That conditioning runs deep. Teachers, parents, managers, even friends, they taught you to move only when someone said, "Now." And yet, the truth is brutal and liberating at once. No one is coming. No one will walk you to your destiny. No one will hand you the permission slip for your own potential. The moment you stop waiting for someone to push you is the moment you meet the real power you've always carried. Waiting feels safe because it postpones risk. You tell yourself you're not ready, that you need a sign, a supporter, a plan, more time. But every second you wait, you teach your nervous system hesitation. You weaken your inner momentum. You hand your life to chance. Think of all the dreams that died not from rejection, but from delay. Ideas never spoken, steps never taken, growth never claimed because someone was still thinking about it. Life doesn't pause for you. Time is the only currency you can never earn back. Dependence begins with action. It is the decision to move without applause, without clarity, even without full confidence. The first act of independence is to act itself. Neuroscience proves it. Motion changes emotion. Every time you take a step forward, your brain releases dopamine, the chemical of pursuit. It's the biology of motivation. The mind doesn't create energy and then act. It acts and then creates energy. This is the reversal you must learn. Don't wait to feel ready. Readiness is born from movement, not before it. From the spiritual perspective, action is alignment. The universe, the field, the quantum intelligence, whatever you choose to call it, responds to movement the way sound responds to vibration. Nothing moves until you do. Energy amplifies intention, only when intention is expressed through choice. The signal of I will is weak until it is carried by behavior. Once you move, unseen currents reorganize. Synchronicities appear. Life meets you halfway, but never before you start walking. Ask yourself this: how much of your life has been delayed because you were waiting for someone to notice? How many ideas stayed silent because you wanted agreement first? Approval is addictive because it momentarily quiets doubt. But the price is enormous. You trade your own voice for the comfort of belonging. The reality is simple. If you only move when someone claps, you stop when silence comes. And silence will always come. You need a different source of motion, one that cannot be taken from you. Create it by building micro-acts of self-direction. Each morning, before the noise of the world enters, ask one question. What is one thing I can do today without waiting for anyone to tell me? Then do it. The action can be small. Organize your space, read 5 pages, stretch for 5 minutes, make the call you've been avoiding. It is not the scale that matters. It is the origin. Every time you act from internal command, you strengthen the neural bridge between thought and execution. That bridge is self-trust. Imagine 2 people waking up to the same morning. One checks their messages, waiting for someone to need them before they move. The other sits up, breathes deeply, and begins. Tired, but willing. One waits to be pushed. The other pushes themselves. The difference compounds. Months later, the first is still waiting. The second is unrecognizable. Life rewards the mover, not because they are smarter, but because energy obeys direction. From a cosmic view, waiting keeps your energy dormant. Energy is motion by nature. It resists stagnation. When you hesitate, your life force contracts. You feel heavy, stuck, anxious. When you act, energy expands and clarity follows. Action is the language of creation. It tells the universe, I am ready to receive. The universe responds not to wishes, but to frequencies, and movement raises frequency faster than any affirmation. You may ask, but what if I fail? You will. Everyone does. Failure is not the opposite of progress. It is the teacher of precision. The universe does not punish you for movement. It refines you through it. Fear only grows in stillness. Every day you hesitate, fear collects interest. The longer you wait, the louder it gets. Action, even imperfect action, shrinks fear back to size. It reminds the nervous system that danger was imagined, not real. Think of this truth every time you hesitate. 5 years from now, you will either regret the time you spent waiting or celebrate the time you spent building. Waiting drains potential like a slow leak. You barely notice until years have gone. But you can change that starting now. Act without permission. Move before motivation. Become your own source of momentum. Start small, but start. Write down your next step. Not your goal, your step. Then take it. When you hesitate, whisper to yourself, I am the one who moves. That phrase reclaims your power. Say it until your body believes it. Self-respect begins when you act without supervision. It grows stronger every time you complete what you said you would, even if nobody ever sees it. Make this your challenge for the week. 7 days of action without permission. Each day, one thing chosen and completed solely by you. Don't announce it. Don't explain it. Just do it. At the end of 7 days, you will feel something shift. The silence that used to scare you will begin to feel like space. Space for creation. Space for freedom. That's self-dependence. The art of moving yourself. You are not waiting for a push. You are the push. You are the engine. You are the permission. Chapter 2. Trust your own judgment, even when fear is loud. There comes a point in every life when the noise of fear drowns out the voice of reason. You stand at the edge of a decision, your heart races, and suddenly every possible outcome turns into a warning sign. Fear tells you to pause, to gather more proof, to ask someone else what they think. But the truth is this: no one outside of you carries the map of your becoming. No one else can feel the pull of what your soul was designed to do. Most people never move forward because they trust fear more than they trust themselves. They assume fear equals truth, that if something scares them, it must be wrong. But fear is not an oracle. It's an alarm. It signals change, not catastrophe. From a neurological view, fear is your brain predicting uncertainty. From a spiritual view, it's your energy field expanding into new territory. Growth always feels like danger to a system used to limitation. You will never eliminate fear. You must learn to walk with it. To trust your own judgment means that when fear shouts, you listen to the whisper beneath it. The quiet knowing that says, "Go anyway." Consider how often you've hesitated because fear spoke louder than logic. The opportunity you didn't take, the conversation you avoided, the project you postponed. You told yourself you were thinking it through, but deep down, you were outsourcing your courage. Each time you let fear lead, your inner voice weakens. But every time you act on your own clarity, even trembling, that inner voice grows louder. No one can live with the consequences of your decisions but you. Not your parents, not your friends, not the people whose approval you crave. If you listen to others and things go wrong, you carry the burden. If you listen to yourself and things go wrong, you carry wisdom. One path leaves you smaller, the other leaves you stronger. You might wonder how to tell the difference between intuition and fear. Here is the key. Fear shouts and contracts. Intuition whispers and expands. Fear speaks in urgency. Don't do it. You'll regret it. Intuition speaks in calm clarity. This is uncomfortable, but it feels right. The body always knows. When your mind panics, bring your awareness down into your breath, your heartbeat, your center. The truth lives there. Trust is built in small choices. You do not begin by making grand life decisions in a single leap. You start by honoring the simple ones. What to focus on today, how to spend your next hour, which voice to believe, your fear or your reasoning. Each small act of trust creates a ripple in your nervous system, a memory that says, "I listened and I survived." Those ripples merge into self-confidence, the kind that doesn't shout, but hums quietly in the background of your life. From a scientific view, each time you override fear and take action aligned with your values, your brain's neural circuits for confidence strengthen. The amygdala, the region that sounds the alarm of fear, gradually calms as the prefrontal cortex learns that uncertainty isn't danger. This is neuroplasticity, your biology rewiring itself around courage. From an energetic perspective, each time you choose trust, your vibration stabilizes. Fear operates on a chaotic, fragmented frequency. Trust emits coherence. When your field is coherent, the world around you begins to reflect that order back. Opportunities synchronize with your clarity. Many wait for absolute certainty before acting, but certainty is the reward of action, not the prerequisite. Life will never hand you a risk-free moment. Waiting for perfection is waiting for an illusion. Every decision carries unknowns, but indecision carries decay. Movement teaches, stillness confuses, choose and learn. Understand this paradox. When you begin trusting yourself, you will feel both fear and freedom simultaneously. That's how you know you're expanding. The small voice of intuition may tremble at first, but keep listening. With each act of faith, it becomes clearer, not mystical, but precise. What you call intuition is simply the intelligence of your whole being, not just your thinking mind. People will doubt you. They will project their own fears onto your path. Sometimes they will do it out of love, sometimes out of envy. Let them. Your purpose is not to convince them, it's to walk. When you follow your judgment, you take responsibility for your reality. That responsibility is not a burden, it's power. The power to learn, adjust, refine, and grow without waiting for permission. Here's a simple ritual. Before every major decision, close your eyes and ask yourself 2 questions. Is this choice aligned with my growth or my comfort? And if I say no to this, will I feel relief or regret? Your body's response will tell you the truth faster than your mind can analyze it. Trust that. Reflect on your past. Remember a time when you followed your gut and it led to something good. Remember the strength you felt afterward. That subtle confidence of having been your own compass. Now recall a time you ignored your instinct to please others. The regret you felt wasn't about the outcome. It was about the betrayal of self. Those memories are data. Let them rewire your allegiance from fear to self-trust. Perfectionism often hides fear. People say, "I'm not ready yet. I just want to be sure." But what they mean is, "I'm afraid of being wrong." Being wrong is part of being alive. Every mistake contains feedback that sharpens your discernment. When you trust your judgment, even your errors become teachers. When you distrust yourself, even success feels unstable. Remember, fear will never disappear. Its voice may fade, but it will always whisper at the edge of every new chapter. The goal is not to silence it, but to outshine it. Make your own voice louder through practice. Every decision made from clarity, every step taken despite uncertainty, turns your whisper into a command. There will come a day when you face a choice that no one can validate for you. The path will look unclear. The fear will sound convincing. In that moment, take a breath, steady your mind, and remember this. Truth doesn't always feel safe, but it always feels right. Choose it. Trust it. Walk it. Because every time you honor your own judgment, the universe recalibrates around your courage. Doors open, not because fear vanished, but because you stopped bowing to it. That is how self-dependence grows. Not in the absence of fear, but in your decision to move forward anyway. Trust yourself. Even when fear is loud, listen for the signal beneath the noise. That quiet signal is you, and it has always known the way. Chapter 3. Stand up for yourself when no one defends you. There will come a time, and maybe that time is now, when you look around and realize that no one is standing up for you. No one is protecting your reputation, your dream, or your dignity. The room goes quiet. The faces turn away. The world keeps moving, and you are left alone with the question, will I rise for myself, or will I shrink to stay acceptable? This moment is sacred. It is the threshold between who you've been and who you're meant to become. Every person who has ever built real strength has stood in that silence, heart pounding, voice shaking, choosing to defend their worth when no one else did. It's easy to feel confident when you're praised. It's easy to speak loudly when others echo your words. But the measure of your character is how you speak, when the echo disappears, when criticism cuts, when misunderstanding spreads, when even the people you love fail to see your intention. That is when your self-dependence is tested. Standing up for yourself does not mean fighting the world. It means refusing to abandon your own truth. It begins with one realization: your value is not up for public vote. When you let others define it, you hand over the steering wheel of your self-image. From a psychological view, this is how low self-worth forms. You outsource your sense of enoughness. From a spiritual perspective, it's even more profound. Every time you stay silent in the face of injustice to your spirit, your energy field fractures. You leak life force through the cracks of self-neglect. You repair those cracks every time you say, calmly and clearly, "That's not who I am." Every time you refuse to accept disrespect, disguised as humility. Every time you decide that peace built on silence is not peace. It's suppression. Think back to a time when someone crossed your boundary and you said nothing. You felt it in your body, that tightening in your chest, that burning behind your throat, the words you swallowed hard. That was your spirit telling you, you just betrayed yourself. The outer situation might have passed, but inside, a small erosion occurred. Each unspoken defense becomes a scar. Now think of a time you did speak, when you looked someone in the eye and stated your truth, even if your voice trembled. Remember the surge of energy that followed, the lightness in your chest. That is the physics of integrity. When you align action with inner truth, energy that was trapped as resentment transforms into strength. People often avoid defending themselves because they fear conflict. But conflict avoided is not peace kept. It's self-respect postponed. The goal is not to fight with rage, but to respond with clarity. Calmness is not weakness. Calmness is control of your current. Anger scatters energy outward. Calmness channels it inward, like a focused beam. When you speak from that centered calm, even your silence carries weight. Every relationship, professional or personal, teaches people how to treat you. If you let disrespect pass unchecked, you train them to repeat it. If you meet it with quiet dignity, you retrain the energy between you. Boundaries are not walls. They are borders of respect. They tell the world, this is where my peace begins, and where your chaos ends. The science supports it too. Studies on assertiveness show that when people communicate boundaries clearly, stress hormones decrease, self-esteem rises, and overall resilience improves. You literally rewire your nervous system for strength by standing up for yourself. Spiritually, it's the same. Your aura expands, your posture straightens, your tone deepens. The universe mirrors that internal certainty by sending people who treat you accordingly. There will be times when standing up for yourself costs you something. Approval, comfort, relationships that were built on your compliance. Let them fall away. You cannot hold your freedom and your fear of disapproval in the same hand. Respect is not given by the loudest voice in the room. It is claimed by the calmest. Sometimes you will need to walk away instead of argue. Silence, when chosen from strength, is a declaration of self-worth. Refusing to engage in chaos is not surrender. It is mastery of energy. But remember, silence born from fear drains you. Silence born from clarity empowers you. Learn to feel the difference. There will also be moments when those you expected to defend you remain quiet. Friends, colleagues, even family. Their silence can cut deeply, but understand this. Their silence is their choice, not proof of your unworthiness. The absence of their defense is the invitation to build your own. And when you do, something extraordinary happens. Your voice becomes unshakable because it's no longer borrowed. Defending yourself is not arrogance, it's alignment. The universe favors those who honor their own design. You were not built to live apologetically. You were built to stand upright, energetically, emotionally, spiritually. That alignment radiates a frequency that says, I will not shrink to be accepted. Practice this strength in small moments. Correct someone gently when they misrepresent you. Speak up when your idea is ignored. Say no when your time is disrespected. Each act becomes a micro-training in sovereignty. You will feel your nervous system recalibrate. The trembling turns to steadiness, the fear to pride. Remember this. People may misunderstand your boundaries at first, especially if they benefited from your lack of them. But in time, the world adjusts to your firmness. And more importantly, so do you. You begin to feel safe in your own skin again, not because others protect you, but because you do. Standing up for yourself also extends beyond people. It applies to your dreams. When no one believes in your vision, will you still defend it? Will you keep building when doubt surrounds you? Every goal worth reaching will demand that you stand alone before it stands with you. The day you decide to protect your energy, your dignity, your vision without apology, is the day you stop being fragile. You become your own advocate, your own guardian, your own protector of peace. So, the next time you find yourself waiting for someone to defend you, remember that someone is you. Stand tall, speak clearly, act firmly. Calm doesn't mean soft. Clarity doesn't mean cold. It means you are anchored in truth, and truth needs no permission to exist. When you learn to defend yourself, you are no longer at the mercy of others' courage. You become the embodiment of your own. And that, more than any applause, is the foundation of unbreakable confidence. Chapter 4. Create stability by doing the hard work alone. Everyone says they want stability in money, health, relationships, purpose. But few are willing to build it the only way it can be built. Alone, in the quiet, with no audience and no shortcuts. Stability is not luck, it's not timing, and it's not comfort. It's structure. And structure is born from consistent effort. The kind no one praises, the kind no one sees. We live in a world obsessed with instant results. The modern mind craves quick wins and visible validation, but life doesn't reward bursts of intensity. It rewards endurance. You cannot skip the seasons of invisible work. The roots that hold the tallest tree are not grown in sunlight. They are formed in darkness, deep beneath the surface, pushing through resistance. So it is with your life. You cannot rise steadily unless you're willing to work quietly when no one is watching. From a psychological standpoint, doing the hard work alone strengthens internal locus of control, the belief that you are responsible for outcomes. This belief separates those who build stable lives from those who drift. But from a spiritual view, something even more profound happens. Solitude amplifies your signal. When distractions fall away, your frequency becomes clear, your thoughts synchronize, and you start to hear the intelligence behind effort. That hum of universal order that says, keep going, I'm responding. Hard work has a rhythm, a pulse that connects your body, your breath, and your willpower into one current. Each repetition is a conversation with the universe. I am serious. I am still here. I will not stop because the applause stopped. Every act of consistency strengthens your energetic foundation. You become grounded, not easily shaken by emotion, failure, or the noise of others. Ask yourself, how much of your progress depends on someone checking on you? How often do you move only when accountability is external? Real stability begins when your accountability becomes internal, when you no longer need a witness to stay disciplined. That's self-dependence at its most practical form. Doing what must be done because it aligns with who you want to become, not because someone is watching. Solitude exposes truth. When no one is around, when there's no praise to chase, when it's just you and the work, you meet your real self. Will you still give effort? Will you still keep promises? Or will you let yourself slide because no one will know? Those moments define the invisible architecture of your integrity. The way you work in silence determines the weight your success can hold later. People admire the peak of the mountain, but the unseen part, the massive base beneath the soil, is what keeps it standing. From a neuroscience perspective, repetitive independent effort rewires the basal ganglia, the part of the brain that automates behavior. What begins as discipline eventually becomes instinct. You no longer debate whether to show up. You simply do. Spiritually, this is called embodiment, when the principle of perseverance stops being an idea and becomes your default vibration. That's what stability really means. Your habits have become who you are. The paradox of solitude is that, while it feels lonely at first, it is the forge of strength. You may crave validation, but what you truly need is proof. Proof that you can carry yourself. Every time you endure the weight of effort alone, you forge that proof. You become someone you can rely on, and that sense of reliability quiets anxiety more than any comfort ever could. The hard work itself will often be unglamorous. Waking earlier than you want, repeating routines that bore you, staying focused when results are still invisible. That's where most give up. They mistake boredom for a lack of progress, but boredom is the threshold before mastery. When you can handle repetition without emotional reward, you unlock endurance. You stop needing the thrill of novelty. You start finding peace in consistency. Think of a sculptor chiseling stone. Hours, days, months, nothing looks finished. Dust everywhere, arms tired, no applause. Then one day, the figure emerges, not from sudden inspiration, but from accumulated precision. That's your life. The version of yourself you admire will not appear through bursts of motivation. It will appear through the quiet repetition of hard things done well. Every morning you show up is a strike of the chisel. The energetic law behind this is simple. Energy seeks stability through repetition. When you repeat an aligned action, you create a vibrational loop, a current that strengthens with each cycle. The longer you sustain it, the more reality aligns around it. That's why daily habits shape destinies. You are literally programming the frequency of your future through what you repeatedly do in private. Failure within this process is not proof you're weak, it's feedback. Each setback is data, showing you where the structure needs reinforcement. Builders don't weep when a beam cracks. They rebuild stronger. You must adopt that same relationship with difficulty. The only true instability is quitting. Start today with this challenge. Choose one area of your life that feels chaotic. Finances, health, focus, discipline. And write down the small, repeatable actions that would bring order. Then commit to doing them alone. Not for 7 days, not for motivation. For as long as it takes. Your self-trust will grow brick by brick. 6 months from now, you won't just feel stable. You'll be stability. People will sense it in your tone, your walk, your energy. Because real stability isn't about control. It's about coherence between what you say, what you do, and what you believe. You are the structure you've been searching for. No mentor, No partner, no system can build it for you. They can inspire you, but the actual foundation, the hours, the repetition, the lonely effort, that's yours to pour. Every day you work when no one sees is a deposit into the bank of strength. And one day, when life tests you, that balance will hold you steady. Do the hard work alone. Let silence be your training ground. Let repetition be your meditation. Let consistency become your prayer. When you can move through difficulty without witness, you've reached a rare kind of peace. The peace of someone who doesn't need proof to keep going. That's how you create stability, not by waiting for calm, but by becoming the calm that endures every storm. Chapter 5. Stay honest when nobody is watching. The true test of character begins the moment the room empties. When the lights dim, the cameras turn off, and no one will ever know what choice you make. That is where your soul keeps score. Honesty is not about what you say to others. It's about what you whisper to yourself. It's the invisible foundation that every other strength rests upon. Without it, every victory collapses in time. When you are alone, the temptation to compromise feels small, harmless, even reasonable. You tell yourself, it's just this once. But every hidden shortcut sends a signal to your subconscious. My standards are flexible, and once your mind learns that your word is negotiable, your integrity begins to erode from the inside out. The outside world may still see discipline, but within, you know the truth. And that truth will always find a way to surface. From a neurological perspective, dishonesty splits your brain into two conflicting circuits. The one that acts and the one that conceals. That tension drains energy, increases stress hormones, and weakens focus. You literally fragment your mental power. From a spiritual perspective, the same fragmentation happens in your energy field. A dishonest act, even unseen, lowers your frequency because it's out of harmony with truth. And truth is the natural vibration of the universe. This is why people who live honestly, even when unnoticed, seem to radiate calm. Their energy is aligned. There is no internal argument, no self-betrayal draining their life force. Integrity is coherence, the alignment of thought, word, and deed. It's not about perfection. It's about congruence. Ask yourself quietly, do I do what I said I would do, even when no one checks? When you break your own word, you teach your brain that your promises mean nothing. But when you keep your word in private, even in small things, you teach your body trust. That trust becomes self-respect. Self-respect becomes confidence. And confidence becomes stability. Staying honest when nobody is watching is not glamorous. No one claps for it. But it builds something that applause can't buy. Self-certainty. The kind of quiet pride that lets you meet your own eyes in the mirror without flinching. The peace of knowing you're not pretending. Think about the difference between two lives. One, where you cheat the edges, skip the steps, pretend discipline in public but cut corners in silence. You might appear successful, but anxiety shadows every win because you know it's built on sand. The other, where you hold your standards even when exhausted, even when unnoticed. You close the laptop at the promised time. You finish the set at the gym. You keep the small commitments that no one else will ever see. Over time, that second life builds a fortress of self-trust so strong that no storm can shake it. Every time you honor truth in solitude, you deposit energy into your future. You strengthen the muscle that will hold you steady when life tests you publicly. Because make no mistake, the private choices always become public outcomes. A body trained in hidden discipline shows itself in posture and presence. A business built on quiet honesty becomes known for reliability. A mind that refuses self-deception shines through clarity of thought. The invisible eventually becomes visible. From the standpoint of energy, honesty is purification. Each time you tell the truth, you release static, guilt, doubt, shame from your field. You lighten. That lightness is not poetic, it's literal. Studies show that people feel physically heavier after lying because their nervous system holds the weight of cognitive dissonance. Truth, even painful truth, frees that weight. Start with micro-honesty. If you said you'd wake up at 6, wake up. If you said you'd study for an hour, do it. If you said you'd save a small amount of money, transfer it. These acts look trivial, but energetically they're sacred. They are proofs of alignment, small signals to the universe that you can be trusted with bigger things. Don't confuse honesty with harshness. Being truthful doesn't mean attacking yourself. It means seeing clearly, without distortion. If you fail, admit it, learn, and adjust. The most dangerous lie is not the one you tell others. It's the one that says, "I'm doing my best," when you know you're not. Growth begins where excuses end. Perform a daily check-in. Before bed, close your eyes and ask, did I keep my word today? Did I stay aligned with what I claim to value? If the answer is no, don't drown in guilt. Use it as data. Awareness is correction. The goal is not moral perfection, but energetic consistency. Being the same person in silence that you appear to be in public. And here is the paradox. When you learn to stay honest in private, you no longer fear exposure. You stop wasting energy managing appearances. You stop pretending. That freedom releases enormous creative power. You become lighter, faster, clearer. People will sense something different in you but won't know what it is. It's integrity. Invisible, but unmistakable. Remember, dishonesty might help you avoid discomfort today, but it will always cost you peace tomorrow. Integrity might cost you comfort now, but it will give you strength forever. So hold the line when no one is looking. Keep the promises that no one else will check. Speak the truth that only you can hear. Each time you do, you anchor a new level of power. Because when your word to yourself becomes unbreakable, you stop seeking approval, you stop fearing judgment, and you start living in unshakable alignment. That is the quiet power of self-dependence. To be the same person in darkness as in light. To act from truth, even when truth is inconvenient, and to know that your strength is not performance, but integrity. When the room is empty, when the world is silent, and only you will ever know. Choose honesty. That's where real confidence begins. Chapter 6. Stay consistent when comfort tempts you to quit early. Comfort is the most seductive liar you'll ever meet. It speaks softly, with the language of kindness. You've done enough. You deserve a break. You can continue tomorrow. But comfort is clever. It never says stop forever. It just whispers, not today. And before you realize it, not today becomes a habit, a slow erosion of everything you promised yourself you would become. The world doesn't destroy potential with catastrophe. It dissolves it with comfort. Every great vision, every long-term goal, every transformation dies quietly in the warmth of convenience. If you want to live a life that outlasts moods and moments, you must learn to stay consistent when comfort tries to pull you back to mediocrity. Consistency is not glamour. It's grit. It's the act of showing up after the excitement fades, of working when no one is clapping, of choosing progress over pleasure. The body resists, the mind protests, but the soul, the deeper part of you, knows that each repetition is rewriting who you are. From a psychological perspective, consistency creates identity. Each repeated behavior tells your brain, "This is who I am." Neural pathways strengthen through repetition, forming automatic patterns of action. This is how you become disciplined, not by motivation, but by memory. From a spiritual perspective, consistency aligns your energy with order. Chaos lives in inconsistency. Harmony, rhythm, and manifestation thrive in continuity. The universe itself runs on repetition. The tides, the heartbeat, the sunrise. When you act consistently, you mirror that cosmic rhythm. You synchronize with creation itself. But comfort is cunning. It disguises itself as self-care, whispering, "You're tired. You've done so much already. You need to rest." Sometimes rest is sacred, but you must learn to distinguish rest from retreat. Rest restores. Retreat erases progress. One replenishes your energy, the other drains your purpose. The line between them is integrity. If you rest with honesty, knowing you've earned it, it strengthens you. If you rest out of avoidance, it weakens you. The truth is, consistency rarely feels good. It's often dull, repetitive, inconvenient. But that discomfort is the price of mastery. The gym, the meditation cushion, the study desk, the early morning, they don't feel thrilling, but they shape the version of you that can be trusted under pressure. Most people quit because they confuse temporary boredom with final burnout. They think something's wrong when progress slows, when excitement fades. But that's not a signal to stop. It's a signal to evolve from emotion to devotion. Consistency is devotion. It's loyalty to your future self. You keep showing up not because you feel inspired, but because you made an agreement with who you want to become. Every time you honor that agreement, you close the gap between the person you are and the person you're becoming. Think of a musician practicing scales, a builder laying bricks, a writer crafting sentences in silence. No single repetition changes everything, but each repetition changes something. Over time, small consistencies compound into irreversible transformation. What once felt heavy becomes natural. What once demanded willpower becomes identity. Here's the science behind it. Your brain adapts to patterns through neuroplasticity. Each consistent act reinforces neural efficiency, reducing resistance to repetition. The first few days are friction. The next few weeks are adaptation. Then one day, effort feels effortless. You no longer force yourself to act. You simply act. That's the invisible threshold of mastery. Spiritually, each consistent act stabilizes your energetic frequency. Comfort lowers vibration. Discipline raises it. When you push through the temptation to quit, you expand your capacity to hold higher energy. You become less reactive, more grounded, more magnetic. The universe trusts consistency because it mirrors its own laws, cycles, seasons, orbits. Creation rewards rhythm. There will be mornings you don't want to get up, nights you don't want to continue, days you question whether it matters. Those are the sacred moments of testing, the gates between mediocrity and mastery. If you stop, you restart the cycle. If you continue, you break it forever. The key is to detach your consistency from emotion. Emotions are weather. Consistency is climate. Weather changes by the hour. Climate defines the environment. Stop letting your weather dictate your life. When you wake up and feel resistance, recognize it as proof that growth is happening. Muscles shake before they strengthen. Minds resist before they expand. Souls doubt before they awaken. If you need motivation, look to your past. Remember every time you quit early and the regret that followed. Regret is not punishment. It's a memory of potential wasted. Then remember the times you stayed the course, the quiet pride that followed, the stability that built upon itself. That feeling is your evidence. Let it fuel you more than comfort's lies ever could. You may not see results for weeks or months, and that's okay. Progress is often invisible at first. The same way a seed takes root in darkness before it breaks through soil, your consistency is working beneath the surface. Keep watering it with action, not emotion. Patience will become your ally. Persistence, your companion. Practical wisdom. Set your systems before your emotions wake up. Create routines so solid, they move without negotiation. Your morning ritual, your daily targets, your time boundaries. These are the scaffolds that hold you when motivation collapses. Once the structure exists, your willpower becomes free to focus on growth instead of arguing with comfort. In time, something miraculous happens. The work that once felt heavy begins to feel like peace. You stop resisting because you realize the effort is the reward. You don't need excitement. You have stability. You don't need applause. You have rhythm. And in that rhythm, you find freedom. The kind that comfort could never give. So when comfort calls, when it whispers enough for today, answer quietly. I'm not here for easy. I'm here for evolution. And then keep going. Because every day you stay consistent when comfort tempts you, you send a message into the universe and into your own biology. I can be trusted. And that single truth, lived daily, creates a momentum that no obstacle can stop. Consistency is not punishment. It's the pathway to power. Stay the course. Stay steady. Stay true. Even when it's boring. Especially when it's boring. That's when greatness is being built. Chapter 7. Choose your own path without outside approval. The hardest step toward freedom is not taking action. It's taking action without applause. From birth, you were taught to measure your worth through reflection, grades, praise, likes, nods of validation. Approval became oxygen, and without it, you learned to hold your breath. But the life that belongs to you will never be found in someone else's expectations. It will only appear when you walk a road that no one can map but you. Choosing your path means disappointing people who love you. It means confusing those who can't see what you see yet. It means walking through moments of doubt where your only proof is your own conviction. But if you don't risk misunderstanding, you risk never being understood at all. Approval feels safe because it shields you from judgment. But the cost of that safety is authenticity. Every time you adjust your dream to fit someone else's comfort, you trade alignment for belonging. You fit in, but you shrink. And no one can applaud you enough to fill the space left by a silenced self. From a psychological perspective, the need for approval is rooted in survival, an ancient wiring in the brain that associates acceptance with safety. But what kept you alive as a child will keep you stuck as an adult. From a spiritual perspective, living for approval divides your energy. You begin broadcasting two signals, one that reflects who you truly are, and another that imitates who the world wants you to be. Those mixed frequencies repel alignment and attract confusion. Your path becomes foggy not because life is unclear, but because you're sending conflicting instructions to the universe. Authenticity requires courage, not the loud kind that shouts, but the quiet kind that says, I know this feels uncertain, but it feels right. That feeling, that intuitive expansion in your chest, is your compass. Every time you follow it, you return closer to your essence. Every time you ignore it, you feel yourself fragment a little more. Think of the times you betrayed your instinct to please others. The job you took because it looked impressive. The relationship you stayed in because you didn't want to hurt someone. The idea you buried because you feared laughter. Each of those decisions may have protected you temporarily, but they cost you presence. You learned to perform instead of live. And the more you performed, the more exhausted you became, because pretending drains life force faster than work ever will. When you finally begin choosing your own path, something remarkable happens. The anxiety of pleasing others is replaced by the peace of alignment. Your energy becomes clean. You stop over-explaining. You stop asking for permission. You stop negotiating your own intuition. That clarity becomes magnetic, not because you try to impress anyone, but because truth always radiates. Understand this paradox. Approval may feel like connection, but it's dependency disguised as love. True connection comes when people are drawn to your authenticity, not your compliance. When you stop seeking approval, the relationships that remain are real. The rest dissolve, as they should. People will project their fears onto your path. They will warn you, doubt you, sometimes ridicule you, not because they hate you, but because your courage confronts their own hesitation. Their disbelief is not a sign to stop. It's proof you're breaking patterns they're still trapped in. Forgive them. Walk anyway. From a neurological view, autonomy activates the same reward centers as social approval once did. When you start trusting your own choices and see them succeed, your brain releases dopamine tied to independence. It literally rewires your motivation from external validation to internal mastery. Spiritually, this shift elevates your vibration. Your sense of self becomes rooted in being rather than belonging. So how do you start walking your path? Begin with quiet defiance. Do something you've delayed because you feared judgment. Wear what you like. Speak your real opinion. Post what aligns with you, even if no one likes it. At first, you'll feel the tremor of exposure. That tremor is healing. It's your nervous system learning that rejection is not death. With repetition, confidence replaces fear. Here's a truth you must hold close. No one will ever fully understand your vision until it's real. You are seeing from a higher vantage point, a picture still invisible to others. Waiting for their approval is like asking someone without your eyes to describe your dream. They can't, and they don't need to. Your belief is enough to begin. There is a quiet dignity in walking alone for a while. Solitude sharpens clarity. You start noticing which opinions used to control you and how little they matter now. The silence that once felt scary begins to sound like freedom. You stop explaining your path and start living it. The world eventually will adjust to your truth, but only after you've stopped asking it to. From an energetic perspective, self-approval opens a channel between intention and manifestation. When your attention is no longer scattered across other people's expectations, energy flows freely toward your goals. This is why aligned people seem to move faster. It's not luck, it's focus. Their frequency is singular. To anchor this truth, build the habit of self-validation. Each night, write down one decision you made purely from your own clarity. It could be small, saying no to an unnecessary invitation, expressing an honest thought, or choosing rest over guilt. These small acts teach your subconscious, I am the authority of my life. Over time, that belief becomes unshakable. People may call you stubborn, selfish, rebellious. Let them. The world has always labeled independence as arrogance because it threatens conformity. But remember, every innovator, every artist, every leader once walked alone long enough to hear their own rhythm. The crowd always follows later. Your path will not always be straight, and that's okay. What matters is that it's yours. The detours, the stumbles, the doubts, they refine you. The approval you were once addicted to will fade into something far more nourishing, self-trust. And once you have that, external validation becomes optional. Walk your path with quiet conviction. Let the noise fall away. Let the misunderstanding come. You don't owe anyone proof of your direction, only proof of your consistency. Because when you finally choose your own path without outside approval, you don't just change your life. You reclaim authorship of your destiny. And that is the most sacred act of freedom there is. Chapter 8. Keep moving forward when nobody claps. Every great transformation passes through a season of silence, the space between effort and evidence. You're doing the work, showing up, improving piece by piece, yet nothing seems to change. No one notices. The messages slow down, the validation disappears, the applause fades. And suddenly, you wonder, does it even matter? That's when most people stop. Not because they failed, but because they couldn't stand the quiet. The human mind is addicted to feedback. It craves visible proof that its effort is worth something. But progress doesn't announce itself with fanfare. It grows like roots beneath the soil. You don't see it until much later. The silence is not punishment. It's incubation. When nobody claps, the universe is testing your motive. Are you working for recognition or for realization? Are you driven by vanity or by vision? If applause is your fuel, your fire will always go out when the crowd leaves. But if purpose is your fuel, you will burn steady through the dark. The truth is, every creator, athlete, thinker, and builder you admire spent years in that invisible stage, grinding in obscurity, doubting themselves in private, refining their craft with no witnesses. That's not failure. That's foundation. You can't skip it because silence is the womb of mastery. From a psychological perspective, the applause phase triggers the brain's reward circuits. When the dopamine of recognition fades, motivation drops, unless you've learned to self-generate reward through internal validation. That's what high performers do. They shift from, "I need others to see me," to, "I need to see myself." From a spiritual perspective, this silence is sacred. It's the universe withdrawing outer noise so you can hear your inner signal, the one that tells you whether your work aligns with truth or just attention. You will have days when your effort feels invisible, when views don't rise, clients don't respond, or results plateau. In those moments, remember, you're not planting weeds, you're cultivating oaks. Growth that lasts is slow because it's deep. The deeper the roots, the higher the rise. Every repetition in silence is energy accumulating beneath the surface, preparing for a breakthrough that others will later call overnight success. Understand this. Applause is not proof of value, it's proof of visibility. People can't cheer for what they can't see. But the universe sees everything. Every act of discipline, every resisted temptation, every honest effort leaves a vibrational imprint. Reality always catches up to consistency. The silence will tempt you with shortcuts, chasing trends, begging attention, diluting your vision for visibility. Don't. The world doesn't need another imitation of noise. It needs your authentic signal. If you stay steady in obscurity, you will emerge unshakable in visibility. Most people crumble when fame arrives because their identity was built on feedback, not foundation. Use this silent season to build the kind of stability that noise can't shake. From a scientific view, The brain adapts to delayed gratification through a process called reward prediction error. When you act without immediate reward, your dopamine system learns patience. That patience becomes resilience. Spiritually, it's no different. The absence of applause teaches energetic neutrality, the power to act without attachment to outcome. That's where true manifestation begins, when you no longer need proof to persist. Think of a farmer. They don't plant seeds and then dig them up every week to check for progress. They trust the process. They water, wait, and stay consistent. You must do the same with your dreams. Stop uprooting them with doubt. Let time do its quiet work. Your only job is to keep showing up. Here's a perspective shift. Silence is not rejection, it's reverence. The universe gives quiet to those it's preparing for magnitude. If you were clapped for too early, you'd settle too soon. The absence of recognition is protection. It's keeping you focused on mastery, not metrics. Make this your mantra. My work is not a performance, it's a practice. Each day is rehearsal for the person you're becoming. The applause will come later, but by then, you won't need it. You'll already know your worth from the inside out. When discouragement comes, and it will, remind yourself of why you began. Remember that your consistency is not wasted, it's recorded. Every repetition is stored as potential energy, waiting for the right moment to unfold. What you call nothing happening is simply life aligning its timing with your readiness. Keep moving, keep refining, keep trusting the invisible math of effort. Because the day will come when the silence breaks, not with noise, but with results so undeniable they speak for you. People will call you lucky, not realizing you built that luck in the dark while no one clapped. Don't let temporary invisibility make you forget permanent purpose. The ones who master the quiet are the ones who eventually move the world. When no one cheers, clap for yourself. When no one notices, notice your growth. When no one believes, believe twice as hard. Because real greatness is not born in applause. It's forged in silence. Chapter 9. Rely on discipline to carry you through struggle. Motivation is fragile. It burns bright and disappears fast. Discipline is different. It's the quiet engine that keeps you moving long after the fire fades. When life becomes heavy, when exhaustion hits, when emotion turns against you, discipline becomes the bridge between intention and result. Most people wait to feel ready before they act. But discipline doesn't wait for emotion. Discipline acts regardless of emotion. It's not built from excitement. It's built from structure. From a deep understanding that your feelings are weather, but your commitment is climate. If you rely on motivation, you'll move when it's sunny and stop when it rains. If you rely on discipline, you'll move through every storm. Discipline begins the moment you do what you said you would, after the mood you set it in has passed. That's the test. Anyone can start with enthusiasm. Few can finish with consistency, because finishing demands self-command, the ability to direct your mind instead of obey it. From a neurological view, discipline reprograms the reward system in the brain. At first, the mind craves immediate pleasure, the scroll, the snack, the distraction. But every time you override that impulse, you strengthen the prefrontal cortex, the region responsible for self-control. Over time, your brain learns to crave long-term reward instead of instant comfort. That's how discipline transforms biology. It upgrades your default programming. Spiritually, discipline is devotion in motion. It's how the finite self aligns with the infinite rhythm of order. Every act of discipline sends a message to the universe. I can be trusted with power. Power without discipline destroys. Power with discipline creates. The most successful lives are not the loudest or the luckiest. They are the most structured. You must learn to treat discipline as sacred. It's not punishment. It's proof. Proof that your word means something. Proof that you can hold focus longer than fear can distract you. Each disciplined act builds energetic gravity, an invisible pull that draws circumstances, people, and opportunities toward you. The undisciplined repel stability because their energy is inconsistent. The disciplined attract it because their vibration is steady. Understand this. Struggle is not a sign that you're failing. It's the environment where discipline matures. The weight of resistance builds strength. Just as muscles grow through micro tears, your spirit strengthens through small acts of endurance. Each time you show up when it's hard, you reinforce the identity of a finisher. That identity becomes your anchor when everything else shakes. In moments of difficulty, remember, discipline doesn't require enthusiasm. It only requires execution. You don't have to like the workout to complete it. You don't have to enjoy the repetition to benefit from it. You don't have to believe in yourself every day. You just have to act like you do. Action first. Feeling follows. That's how you rebuild momentum when the mind screams to stop. When struggle arrives, and it always does, you'll meet two voices inside you. One says, "Why me?" The other says, "Try me." The first voice drains you. The second fuels you. Discipline trains the second voice to speak louder. It turns pain into signal, fatigue into feedback, failure into refinement. You stop asking life to be easier. You ask to be stronger. From a practical standpoint, discipline thrives on design, not willpower. Create rituals that remove decision fatigue. Set times, spaces, and systems that automate your effort. The less you negotiate with yourself, the more you win. Think of pilots. They don't rely on motivation to fly. They rely on procedure. You must do the same. Discipline begins when your routine becomes your safety net, not your prison. You will have days when discipline feels cold, robotic, joyless. That's okay. You're not building comfort. You're building capacity. The gym isn't supposed to feel like a party. It's supposed to feel like progress. The same is true for your life. Sometimes, the most spiritual thing you can do is finish what you started. Spiritually, every disciplined act balances chaos within you. The human mind oscillates between impulse and intention. Discipline harmonizes the two. It channels scattered energy into direction, turning anxiety into movement and desire into creation. That is why disciplined people seem calm under pressure. They are not emotionless. They are trained. Here's a truth worth remembering. Emotion creates motion, but discipline creates direction. You don't need constant motivation. You need momentum. Discipline is how you sustain it when inspiration fades. Each day you show up despite fatigue, doubt, or boredom. You're training your nervous system to obey your higher self instead of your fleeting moods. There's also a deeper, quieter beauty to discipline. It simplifies life. Once you commit fully, decision disappears. You no longer waste energy wondering whether to act. You just act. Freedom, paradoxically, is born from structure. When your days have rhythm, your mind has peace. The undisciplined drown in options. The disciplined swim in clarity. Don't mistake discipline for rigidity. True discipline adapts. It bends without breaking. It's the difference between a soldier and a monk. One obeys out of fear, the other out of purpose. You must cultivate the monk's discipline, the kind that comes from reverence for your future, not resentment for the present. Every time you choose discipline over ease, Your future self sends gratitude back through time. You can almost feel it, like a quiet nod from the version of you that already succeeded. That's who you're working for. That's who you're serving when you keep going through the struggle. When you hit a wall, when you're tired, when no one understands, remember this. Discipline is loyalty to the life you said you wanted. Keep showing up. The rhythm itself will carry you. Because in the end, the difference between those who reach their vision and those who don't isn't luck, genius, or timing. It's who kept their promise in the dark. Discipline is that promise. And when struggle tests it, hold the line. Keep moving, one deliberate act at a time. That's how storms become milestones. Chapter 10. Prove your worth to yourself through real results. Words are wind, promises fade, but results are truth made visible. You can speak confidence, post discipline, and dress ambition, but the universe only responds to proof, to energy that has translated thought into matter. To say you are capable means nothing until your actions carve evidence that cannot be denied. This is not about impressing others. It's about calibrating your own mind to trust your power. Every result you create, every finished project, every mastered habit, every quiet victory, becomes a message to your subconscious. I am reliable. I deliver. That message rewires your identity far more effectively than affirmation ever will. Most people never reach this level of self-trust because they mistake intention for accomplishment. They talk about goals as if they were achievements. They collect plans instead of results, knowledge instead of transformation. But results are not found in what you know. They're born in what you repeat. Knowledge is potential energy. Discipline turns it kinetic. From a scientific perspective, results are the feedback loop that strengthens your neural pathways. Each small win releases dopamine tied not to luck, but to effort. The brain learns. This behavior leads to progress. That learning creates momentum. Spiritually, this is how energy crystallizes into form. Your repeated focused intention condenses vibration into matter. When you prove your worth through action, you are literally commanding the unseen to become seen. Ask yourself, when was the last time you completed something purely for your own proof? Not for praise, not for show, but as evidence that you can rely on your word. That's what mastery feels like. Quiet, grounded, undeniable. Results are the mirror that doesn't lie. They reflect both your strength and your avoidance. They reveal where your energy has been consistent and where it has been scattered. You can tell yourself stories, but the outcome always tells the truth. And the beauty of that truth is this: it gives you direction. Every lack of result is not failure. It's feedback. You are not judged by the universe. You are measured by alignment. When your energy, intention, and action match, results follow as naturally as sunrise. When they don't, resistance appears. That resistance is not rejection. It's the system showing you where you're leaking focus. You don't build self-worth by saying, I deserve more. You build it by doing more, not in volume, but in depth. Each time you act beyond comfort, you carve a groove of competence in your nervous system. That competence becomes confidence. Confidence becomes magnetism. Magnetism becomes manifestation. It's all the same current, moving from invisible effort to visible effect. The mistake most people make is trying to feel confident before acting. But confidence doesn't precede proof. It follows it. You can't affirm yourself into power. You must act yourself into proof. You can only trust yourself when you've given yourself a reason to. From a cosmic perspective, Results are vibrations solidified. The final phase of creation, where energy completes its cycle from thought to form. When you finish something, you close a loop in the universe. Incomplete actions leave open circuits that drain energy and dull intuition. This is why finishing matters. It restores coherence to your energetic field. Think about your past results, not achievements the world saw, the private ones, the days you resisted giving up, the habits you kept for months, the skill you built alone. Those are sacred. They're your internal currency. Every real result increases your energetic credit with yourself. When your balance is high, manifestation accelerates, because the universe mirrors your proven reliability. If you want to expand your life, increase your evidence. Not empty effort, effective effort, specific, measurable, consistent. Write the book, not the outline. Save the money, not the intention. Make the call, not the excuse. Results don't have to be grand. They just have to exist. Once they exist, you can scale them. The hardest result is the first one, because it breaks inertia. After that, momentum takes over. You will be tempted to compare your results to others. Don't. Comparison is the thief of evidence. Your only metric is whether you are keeping the promises you made to yourself. If you said you'd work an hour a day, do that. If you said you'd build a new habit for a week, finish the week. Each completed promise raises your internal authority, and when your authority rises, external validation becomes irrelevant. From a metaphysical view, consistent action generates an energy field strong enough to bend probability. This is why disciplined people seem lucky. They are not lucky. They are aligned. They've created a magnetic frequency of certainty that draws outcomes to match it. The world doesn't resist them because they don't resist themselves. Results liberate you from the fragile ego that needs to prove through talking. When you have evidence, you no longer debate your worth. You demonstrate it. You become quiet, focused, unshakable. Others sense it without you saying a word. Remember, you don't need to be perfect. You just need to produce proof. Perfection seeks approval. Proof seeks progress. Even a small result is infinitely greater than an unexecuted plan. The gap between thinking about it and finishing it is the space where most lives dissolve. Cross that gap daily. Every day, give yourself one visible piece of evidence that your words mean something. One completed action. One disciplined follow-through. Over time, those small proofs accumulate into an identity no setback can erase. That's how confidence is built, not spoken but shown, not wished but worked, not imagined but earned. And when your results begin to speak for you, you'll understand something powerful. The universe rewards not intention, not talent, not desire, but demonstration. Results are your voice in the language of reality. Speak fluently. Chapter 11. Master your energy before you master your goals. Before you can build the life you want, you must learn to manage the power that builds it, your energy. Time is limited, but energy can expand or collapse, depending on how you use it. Every decision, every thought, every emotion either recharges you or drains you. Until you learn this, you'll mistake exhaustion for failure, when in truth, it's misalignment. Your energy is the currency of creation. Every action you take is a transaction with the universe, a trade of attention for outcome. But most people spend this currency unconsciously. They leak power into overthinking, self-doubt, arguments, or fear. Then they wonder why there's nothing left to invest in their goals. From a biological perspective, this is not abstract. Your nervous system is a power grid. Each negative thought activates cortisol and drains glucose from your brain, literally stealing energy from creativity and decision-making. From a spiritual perspective, every emotion emits vibration. Low vibrations like resentment or worry scatter energy outward. High vibrations like clarity, gratitude, and focus concentrate it. Concentration is what bends probability in your favor. Think of yourself as a frequency tower. Whatever you broadcast, you attract. If you emit stress, you pull chaos. If you radiate coherence, you pull order. This is not mysticism. It's resonance. Energy seeks its likeness. Your outer life will always mirror the energetic quality of your inner state. You've been taught to chase goals through effort, but before effort comes alignment. The most powerful people are not those who work the hardest. They're those whose energy is least wasted. They are focused, deliberate, detached from drama. They know that discipline is not only about time management, but energy stewardship. Here's a truth few understand. Burnout is not caused by doing too much. It's caused by doing too little of what energizes your soul. When your actions align with purpose, energy renews itself. When they don't, even rest won't restore you. To master your energy, you must become conscious of your leaks. Start observing what drains you. People, habits, conversations, media, environments. Every time you feel tension in your body, that's feedback. Energy flows where attention goes. So if your attention is constantly pulled to distractions, your creative power is fragmented. Close those leaks. Protect your attention as fiercely as your time. In physics, energy can neither be created nor destroyed, only transformed. The same applies to your emotional energy. Anger can become focus. Fear can become precision. Sadness can become depth. When you stop resisting emotions and start redirecting them, you gain mastery. Energy is never your enemy. Misdirection is. This is why the disciplined appear calm under pressure. They don't waste power fighting their feelings. They use them as fuel. The anxious channel anxiety into preparation. The uncertain channel fear into action. The heartbroken channel pain into art. Everything transforms when energy has direction. Spiritually, mastering energy means moving from reaction to creation. Reaction is unconscious. It drains. Creation is deliberate. It multiplies. The reactive person mirrors the world. The creative person shapes it. One follows chaos. The other commands order. Every moment gives you that choice. Before you chase new goals, reset your vibration. Sit in silence each morning, not to empty your mind, but to tune it. Align your breath with your intention. Feel your heart settle into rhythm. When your internal field is coherent, your external path clears. This is measurable. Studies on heart-brain coherence show that emotional regulation literally improves intuition and timing. The universe is quantum feedback. It responds to coherence. You must also become intentional about recovery. Discipline isn't just about pushing. It's also about recharging wisely. True rest is not escape. It's restoration. Mindless scrolling or numbing pleasure doesn't refill energy. It only dulls awareness. Real restoration reconnects you to meaning, nature, solitude, art, deep sleep, movement, stillness. Make these rituals non-negotiable. Your energy is also shaped by the company you keep. Human beings exchange frequencies through conversation, eye contact, even silence. Some people amplify your focus, others scatter it. You must learn to sense the difference. It's not arrogance to protect your energy. It's hygiene. You wouldn't drink dirty water. Don't absorb chaotic energy. Once you master this, your results accelerate naturally. You stop forcing outcomes and start flowing into them. When your inner frequency is tuned, outer resistance decreases. What once felt like struggle becomes synchronicity. The right ideas, people, and timing begin to converge. It's not magic. It's physics, aligned with consciousness. From a metaphysical angle, energy mastery is also self-respect. It's saying, I am a generator, not a beggar. You no longer wait for others to motivate you. You generate your own drive. You no longer depend on circumstances for peace. You cultivate it. This is ultimate freedom, energetic sovereignty. When you feel drained, don't just rest, recalibrate. Ask yourself, am I acting from fear or from intention? Am I leaking power through overthinking or directing it toward purpose? That awareness alone shifts your vibration. Everything you desire already exists in energetic form. Your task is to match it. When you master your energy, goals become gravity. They pull toward you because your frequency finally matches their reality. This is the secret behind unshakable people. Their energy arrives before they do. Their presence precedes their success. And it's not because they force, it's because they flow. Master your energy first. Your results will follow with mathematical precision. Chapter 12. Turn failure into fuel for evolution. Failure is not a wall, it's a mirror. It doesn't block your path. It reflects the gap between intention and execution, between who you are and who you are capable of becoming. Every time you fail, life is not punishing you. It's giving you data, feedback, a coded message that says, this is the edge of your current understanding. Go further. Most people misread failure because they view it through emotion instead of information. They see a setback and label it shame, rejection, or proof of inadequacy. But failure is neutral. The meaning you give it determines its power. See it as a signal, and you evolve. See it as an identity, and you stop. From a psychological perspective, the brain reacts to failure with pain because evolution wired us to avoid loss. Yet, the same circuits that register loss also activate learning. When handled correctly, failure literally strengthens neural plasticity. It opens new pathways for adaptability and strategy. In other words, failure is your brain upgrading in real time, if you stay conscious long enough to process it. From a spiritual perspective, failure is an initiation. The universe does not test to hurt you. It tests to refine your vibration. Every breakdown calibrates you closer to alignment. When your plan collapses, it's not the dream dying. It's the ego being stripped of illusion. That's why failure feels painful. It's an energetic detox. You're shedding frequencies that no longer match where you're meant to go. You've been told that success is linear. It's not. Success spirals. You will revisit the same lessons from higher levels until they no longer trigger resistance. Failure is just one revolution of that spiral. If you resist it, you stay stuck on the same layer. If you learn from it, you ascend. When something doesn't work, don't ask, why me? Ask, what is this teaching me? That question turns emotion into evolution. It switches your nervous system from threat to curiosity. And curiosity is expansion. It opens the brain, expands the heart, and reconnects you to creativity. Remember this truth. Pain is energy asking for movement. When you fail, that pain wants to be expressed, not suppressed. Journal it, speak it, create from it. Every masterpiece, art, business, philosophy, invention, was once someone's failure, transmuted into beauty. Alchemy begins when you stop resisting what is and start redirecting it. Failure also exposes illusion. It reveals what you were clinging to that wasn't real. Expectations, shortcuts, borrowed beliefs. The moment they break, you meet truth, and truth always frees energy. In quantum terms, failure collapses one potential timeline, not your destiny. Infinite probabilities still exist, but only by accepting what collapsed can you redirect energy toward a new outcome. Denial freezes vibration. Acceptance releases it. That's why humility is magnetic. It keeps you fluid. Here's the paradox. Those who fear failure the most experience it the most because their energy vibrates at avoidance. Avoidance attracts repetition. The universe keeps giving the same lesson until it's mastered. Once you stop fearing it, you complete it. So, when failure arrives, pause. Don't rush to fix. Don't drown in self-talk. Study it. What belief created it? What habit repeated it? What fear sustained it? Failure is a teacher that whispers, not shouts. If you can listen without ego, it will hand you the exact blueprint to your next level. From a cosmic perspective, energy never disappears. It only changes form. The energy of your failed attempt is still alive. It's just waiting to be repurposed. When you harvest the lesson, you recycle that energy into momentum. That's why wise people seem unstoppable. They never lose energy to regret. They reinvest it into direction. You can either use failure to confirm your limits or to expand your range. One shrinks you into victimhood. The other stretches you into mastery. The difference is ownership. When you say, "This is my lesson," you reclaim power from circumstance. The moment you take responsibility, energy flows again. Here's the mental shift. Stop asking, "Did I fail?" and start asking, "What did I refine?" You didn't lose, you learned precision. You didn't waste time, you gathered intelligence. You didn't break down, you broke open. Failure also burns away attachment to perfection. It reminds you that progress is not a clean line. It's a messy evolution of awareness. The most dangerous illusion is believing that success should feel smooth. It never does. True transformation is friction turning resistance into resilience. On an energetic level, each failure removes density. The ego resists what it doesn't control, so when plans collapse, you're forced to let go of control. That surrender raises frequency. It's the vibration of trust. The universe doesn't reward perfection. It rewards persistence. Every time you fall, remember, gravity is not your enemy. It's proof that you're grounded on Earth to learn how to rise consciously. If you can learn to love the data within failure, you become unbreakable. Nothing intimidates you because everything educates you. You no longer chase certainty. You chase clarity. You realize that the path isn't about avoiding pain. It's about metabolizing it into wisdom. The world trains you to hide failure, but mastery demands you dissect it. Every great innovator, every philosopher, every leader has shelves of invisible failures beneath their public triumphs. What you see as confidence is simply accumulated clarity, the result of failing so often that they stopped fearing it. So the next time failure visits, welcome it like a mentor. Say, "Show me where I was unprepared, unclear, or unaligned." Then adjust. Don't linger in emotion. Integrate the lesson and move. Because in truth, failure is not the opposite of success. It's the architect of it. Those who evolve not because they avoid failure, but because they refine it into power. You can do the same. When you fall, don't collapse. Convert. Turn failure into fuel, and let that fire make you unstoppable. Chapter 13. Build unbreakable self-trust. At the center of every strong mind, every steady soul, and every lasting success lies one core truth: trust in oneself. Without it, discipline becomes mechanical, confidence becomes brittle, and peace becomes temporary. With it, everything you touch gains power, because your energy no longer fractures at the first sign of doubt. Self-trust is not arrogance. It is alignment. It's the calm knowing that no matter what happens, you will not abandon yourself. That your word is law, not because someone enforces it, but because your integrity does. From a psychological perspective, trust is the brain's prediction system. You trust people, or yourself, when experience tells your nervous system, this person keeps their word. Every broken promise, every excuse, every time you say, "I'll start tomorrow," but don't, erodes that prediction. Your brain learns inconsistency and replaces belief with hesitation. But when you follow through, even in small ways, you reprogram the pattern. You rebuild internal certainty, and the brain begins to predict success instead of failure. It's neuroplasticity at work, rewiring self-doubt into self-reliance. Spiritually, self-trust is vibration in harmony with truth. The universe reflects your belief in yourself. If you doubt your ability to act, you emit chaos. Opportunities scatter. If you trust your inner direction, you emit coherence. Reality organizes around that signal. Life does not respond to words. It responds to energetic conviction. The question is not, do I trust myself? The real question is, can I rely on myself when it's inconvenient, uncomfortable, and uncertain? Most people trust themselves only when conditions are easy. But true self-trust is tested when emotion and logic collide, when fear says stop, but intuition says move. The version of you who wins that inner battle becomes unstoppable. Here's how to build it. First, honor small promises. You can't expect your subconscious to trust you with destiny if it can't trust you with your morning routine. Start with what's in front of you. Wake up when you said you would. Complete the task you set. Keep the commitment no matter how small. Every kept promise is a micro-deposit in the bank of self-trust. Over time, that balance compounds into unshakable confidence. Second, speak truthfully to yourself. Stop pretending. Self-deception may feel comfortable, but it costs power. When you lie to yourself about effort, intention, or emotion, your energy splits, half maintaining illusion, half pursuing progress. That inner conflict drains vitality. Honesty, though painful, reunites your power into one direction. Third, stop outsourcing validation. You can't build self-trust while constantly asking the world for confirmation. The moment your sense of direction depends on feedback, you've handed your compass away. Validation is fragile because it changes with mood and opinion. Guidance from within is stable because it's tied to your essence, not external noise. From a metaphysical view, the universe mirrors your internal structure. If you are indecisive, life mirrors confusion. If you are firm, life delivers clarity. When you stop doubting your decisions, you stop manifesting delays. The outer world simply follows the architecture of your conviction. Fourth, forgive your past breaches of trust. Self-trust can't grow in self-punishment. The guilt of old failures keeps your energy anchored in the past. Forgiveness is not forgetting. It's reclaiming energy trapped in regret and reinvesting it in growth. Tell yourself, I didn't fail. I was learning my boundaries. The moment you release self-blame, your system resets, ready to trust again. And finally, act on your intuition before it makes sense. Intuition is your higher intelligence. the quiet knowing that transcends analysis. The more you obey it, the louder it becomes. The less you listen, the quieter it grows. You build spiritual trust the same way you build physical strength, through repetition. Each time you follow that small inner nudge and it leads you forward, you gather evidence that you can rely on your own guidance. Think about it. The people who radiate quiet authority don't need to convince anyone. You can feel their certainty. That's the frequency of self-trust. It's not loud, but it's absolute. It doesn't shout, "Believe me." It simply acts, and the world follows. From a cosmic standpoint, your ability to trust yourself determines how much creative power the universe will entrust to you. Energy flows toward reliability. When you've proven to yourself that you can handle responsibility, life expands your influence, not as a reward, as resonance. The frequency of trust attracts opportunities that require it. Here's the paradox. You build self-trust after you act, not before. Waiting to feel confident is the illusion that keeps people paralyzed. The sequence is reversed. Action first, evidence next, belief last. You cannot think your way into trust. You must behave your way into it. The moment you decide, "I will trust myself no matter what," the universe shifts in your favor. Because energy loves clarity. Doubt emits noise. Trust emits command. If you stumble, if you hesitate, if you break a promise again, don't quit. Rebuild immediately. Self-trust is not perfection. It's repair. It's the decision to return to integrity faster each time you drift. Eventually, you'll reach a point where your word feels sacred, where saying "I will" becomes a binding contract with your higher self. When that happens, you no longer fear failure because you know you'll always rebuild. You no longer fear rejection because your validation is internal. You no longer fear uncertainty because your compass is calibrated. That is what it means to be unbreakable. Self-trust is the foundation beneath every mountain you'll climb. It is the voice that says, "We'll find a way," the pulse that keeps beating when everything else goes silent. When you master it, doubt loses its weapon, fear loses its teeth, and no external chaos can dismantle your inner order. Trust yourself, fully, fiercely, faithfully. The world will rise to meet the vibration of that certainty. Chapter 14. Become the person your future needs. Every day, your future waits for you. It watches your choices, your habits, your thoughts, and it adjusts itself accordingly. The person you're becoming isn't created by vision boards or declarations. They're sculpted by what you do when it's boring, when it's painful, when no one's watching. The truth is simple. Your future self is already built by your current discipline or your current delay. You don't manifest what you want. You manifest what you are becoming. If you want a stronger future, start becoming the kind of person that future requires now. Becoming that person means sacrificing comfort for clarity, emotion for principle, distraction for direction. It means living today as if you already hold the standards of the version of you you claim to desire, because you can't attract what you haven't prepared for. From a psychological standpoint, identity drives behavior far more than willpower. The brain seeks consistency between who you believe you are and what you do. So when you decide, "I am someone who keeps promises. I am someone who moves through fear. I am someone who acts even when unmotivated," your subconscious begins to align your habits to protect that identity. Change your self-concept, and your discipline follows automatically. Spiritually, your future self is not distant. It's a frequency. Every choice you make either lowers or raises your vibration to match that future timeline. When you choose avoidance, gossip, or laziness, you tune out of that higher frequency. When you choose focus, gratitude, and courage, you tune back in. Your destiny isn't waiting, it's vibrating. You either match it or miss it. Think of the person you want to become, not the fantasy, but the reality. What do they do daily? How do they talk to themselves when they fail? How do they manage emotion, time, and energy? You can't skip this visualization. The clearer you see that version, the faster you embody them. Every habit that doesn't belong to that identity must die. This isn't about perfection. It's about alignment. Small choices compound into character. Waking up when you said you would, speaking truth when it's easier to stay quiet, doing the uncomfortable work while others look for shortcuts. These are not minor acts. They are votes for your future self. Each day you cast hundreds of those votes. Eventually the tally becomes your life. Most people want transformation, but avoid identity death. They want to evolve without releasing who they were. But you can't become new while clinging to the comfort of the old. Every rebirth demands burial of excuses, distractions, emotional addictions, and versions of you that served a lesser chapter. From a neurological perspective, each time you choose a new action aligned with growth, you're reprogramming the basal ganglia, replacing old habit loops with new ones. It's not overnight, but it's inevitable. The brain adapts to consistency. The more often you act like your future self, the less effort it takes. Eventually, it's not discipline anymore. It's identity. Spiritually, this process is initiation. The universe won't hand you the next level until you embody the frequency that can hold it. That's why opportunities often arrive only after you've become ready to sustain them. When you act as if you already have the clarity, strength, and stability your future requires, the reality around you rearranges to confirm it. Ask yourself, what habits would my future self thank me for? And equally important, what patterns would they beg me to stop repeating? Answer honestly, then act accordingly. Today, not tomorrow. If your future self could reach back and speak to you now, they wouldn't say, dream bigger. They'd say, be consistent, protect your focus, stop negotiating your standards. Because they know, results are inevitable when identity and discipline align. Understand this. Your future doesn't arrive one day as a surprise. It's built quietly in repetition. The same way compounding interest multiplies wealth, compounding habits multiply destiny. You won't notice much change day by day. Then one morning, you'll wake up and realize you've become the person you used to imagine. From a metaphysical lens, time is not linear. It's layered. Every decision you make now sends ripples through those layers, reshaping future probability. When you make choices aligned with your higher self, you strengthen that future's gravitational pull. It starts drawing experiences toward you that match its vibration. That's why alignment feels like flow. It's your future self magnetizing the present into position. Stop waiting for the right moment. The right moment begins the instant you decide to act as the version of you that doesn't wait anymore. Growth doesn't happen someday. It happens in seconds, in micro decisions, in the small wars you win quietly, between comfort and commitment. To become the person your future needs, you must hold yourself to higher standards, even when no one is watching. You must choose depth over distraction, consistency over excitement, truth over comfort. Each time you do, you send a message forward through time. I am becoming ready. I am becoming capable. I am becoming inevitable. And one day, the future you've been working toward will not feel like a dream come true. It will feel familiar. because you've been living as them all along. Chapter 15. Become untouchable by building inner peace. Power isn't loud, it's quiet. It's the calm that remains when everything else shakes. The most dangerous person in any room is not the one who controls others. It's the one who controls themselves. Because inner peace is not passivity, it's mastery. It's the ability to stay centered when the world pushes, to act with clarity when emotion storms, and to hold stillness that others can't shake. Most people chase control over circumstances, never realizing that true control begins inside. They try to manage outcomes, opinions, timing, everything external, while their inner world collapses at the slightest trigger. But when you master your inner state, the outer chaos loses its grip. Life stops being a battlefield and becomes a mirror. Inner peace doesn't mean the absence of problems. It means the presence of alignment. The knowing that no matter what happens, you will respond, not react. It's self-dependence expressed as stillness. It's not indifference. It's power, without noise. From a neurological view, peace is not luck. It's chemistry. Chronic stress floods the body with cortisol and adrenaline, locking the brain into survival mode. You can't think clearly, create freely, or decide wisely in that state. But when you regulate your breathing, your nervous system shifts from survival to balance. The prefrontal cortex reactivates, clarity returns, and your energy recalibrates. Inner peace isn't abstract. It's biology under command. Spiritually, peace is coherence. Your thoughts, emotions, and actions vibrating in sync. When you're at war with yourself, your energy field fractures. When you're aligned, it radiates stability. People feel it without you speaking. Your presence itself becomes medicine. That's why peaceful people draw others in. Not because they try to, but because their energy feels safe in a world addicted to noise. But peace doesn't come from escape. It comes from endurance. It's built in the moments when you could react, could lash out, could spiral, and instead, you breathe. You observe. You choose patience over panic. Each time you do, you strengthen your inner anchor. Over time, that anchor becomes unmovable. Think about it. Anyone can stay calm in calmness. The real test is staying composed when everything around you demands chaos. When disappointment hits, when people betray you, when plans collapse. Can you stay grounded enough to see clearly? The one who remains calm longest wins, because clarity always beats chaos. From a psychological lens, peace also comes from boundaries. You can't be calm while allowing constant intrusion. Every yes you don't mean leaks energy. Every time you over-explain, you invite imbalance. Peace is not something you find. It's something you protect. You decide what deserves your response, what deserves your silence, and what deserves to be released. You must stop expecting peace to appear when your life is finally easy. Peace doesn't wait for circumstances. It's forged within them. Life won't get quieter. You must. You can't calm the storm, but you can calm yourself, and the storm loses power over you. Here's the paradox. The more peaceful you become, the more powerful you feel, because you stop reacting from fear. You start choosing from vision. The person ruled by emotion lives on defense. The person anchored in peace lives on offense, deliberate, unhurried, precise. From an energetic standpoint, peace is protection. It shields your vibration from external distortion. When you hold peace, negative energy hits your field and dissolves instead of entering. It's not denial, it's energetic immunity. That's why spiritual masters move through chaos untouched. Their energy doesn't match the frequency of turmoil. Cultivate peace as a daily discipline. Start each morning in silence before the world speaks to you. Breathe until your heartbeat slows to rhythm. Notice your thoughts without attaching stories to them. Throughout the day, pause before reacting. Let emotions settle, then decide. Every pause is a reclaiming of power. Each breath is a reset. Peace is not a state you reach once. It's a muscle you strengthen. You'll know you've built it when things that used to provoke you now pass through you. When your calm begins to disarm chaos. When you no longer rush to fix others because you trust timing and truth to handle what force never could. Inner peace doesn't make you detached from life. It makes you deeply present to it. You start living from response instead of reaction, from intention instead of impulse. You stop fighting for control and start flowing with clarity. And here's the profound truth. The moment you stop needing everything to go your way, life starts aligning in your favor. Because your energy becomes stable enough for the universe to synchronize with. In that stillness, fear loses language, doubt loses ground, and what's left is unshakable presence, a state where nothing external has the power to disturb your internal world. That's what it means to be untouchable, not because nothing happens to you, but because nothing can move you from your center. Hold that peace like a crown, protect it like oxygen, build it through discipline, not desire. Because when your inner world is calm, your outer world begins to obey. Chapter 16. Become your own source of power. There's a moment in every journey when you realize no one is coming to save you. And that realization is not tragic. It's liberation. It's the day you stop waiting for permission, motivation, or rescue and start generating your own momentum. That's the moment you stop running on borrowed energy and start becoming your own source of power. Most people spend their lives attached to external generators, validation, support, applause, relationships, routines, things that keep them charged only temporarily. But true strength begins when you stop outsourcing your energy, because everything external is unstable, and anything that can be taken from you should never be your foundation. From a psychological view, dependence on external validation creates a fragile feedback loop. Your self-worth rises and falls with reaction. You become predictable, reactive, and easily drained. But when you learn to self-generate motivation, emotion, and belief, you become independent from circumstance. That's emotional sovereignty, the highest form of freedom. Spiritually, being your own source means remembering you are not disconnected from energy. You are energy. The same current that powers the sun runs through your body, your breath, your awareness. Every time you align your thoughts, emotions, and actions, you reconnect to that current. You stop being a seeker and become a channel. You do not find power. You remember it. It was never gone. It was simply buried under self-doubt, guilt, and dependency. Think about how often you've said, "I'll feel better when you reach a goal, get approval, receive love, achieve success." That's the language of waiting. It keeps your energy hostage to external timing. But when you say, "I'll create energy now," everything changes. Energy moves from reaction to generation. You go from consumer to creator. From a scientific standpoint, this isn't mystical. Your body is a bioelectric system. Your heart emits an electromagnetic field, measurable up to several feet away. Emotion, energy in motion, alters that field. When you feel gratitude, determination, and clarity, your frequency strengthens. When you feel resentment, envy, or helplessness. It weakens. The difference between powerless and powerful is often one conscious emotional shift. This is why powerful people seem magnetic. They've mastered the art of generating energy internally, regardless of conditions. They don't wait for inspiration. They summon it. They don't need motivation to act. Action itself gives them energy. They're not running on hype. They're running on alignment. How do you build that? 1. Regulate your state before you act. You cannot create from chaos. When your energy feels heavy, pause. Breathe. Move. Reset. You are not lazy. You are misaligned. Once your nervous system calms, action flows naturally. 2. Create before you consume. Every morning, give something before you take something. A thought, a workout, a page, a plan. Consumption drains. Creation recharges. The fastest way to feel powerful is to make something from nothing. 3. Stop negotiating with excuses. Excuses are energy leaks disguised as logic. The moment you argue for your limitations, you strengthen them. Power begins when you take radical responsibility for what you can influence and let go of what you can't. 4. Recharge intentionally, not passively. Scrolling isn't rest. Escape isn't peace. True recovery feeds energy, movement, nature, stillness, meaningful solitude. Schedule these with the same seriousness as your work. 5. Guard your mental inputs. You are what you repeatedly consume, visually, emotionally, intellectually. Low-quality input produces low-frequency output. Surround yourself with what nourishes strength, not what feeds weakness. As you practice these, something profound happens. Your emotional dependency fades. You no longer panic when others withdraw. You no longer crave applause to stay consistent. You no longer fear solitude because you've learned to generate warmth from within. From a spiritual perspective, this is mastery of polarity. Every situation in life offers two frequencies, depletion or expansion. When you stop reacting and start choosing consciously, you shift any experience into fuel. Even pain becomes power when processed with awareness. The ultimate form of power is self-sustained energy, a state where your mind, body, and spirit feed each other in harmony. Your action creates pride. Pride generates energy. Energy fuels more action. You become your own ecosystem. And here's the truth. When you master self-generation, everything external begins to align automatically. Opportunities, relationships, abundance. They flow toward you because your energy is steady, not needy. The universe mirrors your independence with cooperation. From a quantum perspective, coherence, the state of inner order, amplifies your electromagnetic field. That's why people feel your presence before you speak. You stop chasing influence and start radiating it. You don't attract, you command by frequency. But being your own source also means taking radical accountability. You can no longer blame, justify, or wait. You can no longer say, "They drained me." You must instead ask, "Why did I allow my energy to be unguarded?" This isn't cruelty, it's clarity. Ownership is liberation. You'll know you've become your own source when you no longer need to explain your vision to feel certain. You no longer depend on outcomes to feel peace. You no longer wait for motivation. You create motion, and motivation follows. That's what real power feels like. Quiet, grounded, and renewable. It doesn't burn out. It builds. So stop waiting for someone to energize you. Stop waiting for life to ease before you rise. Everything you need to generate power is already within you. Thought, breath, will. You are the current. You are the charge. You are the source. The moment you remember that, you become unstoppable. Not because the world gives you strength, but because you no longer need it to. Power generated within can never be taken away. And once you learn to create it, you'll never live powerless again. Chapter 17. The Return to Self. The Final Manifesto. You have walked through the disciplines of the mind, the storms of hesitation, and the silences of solitude. You've faced the moments when no one clapped, when fear whispered, when doubt demanded proof. And through each chapter, one truth kept repeating itself like a quiet heartbeat. Everything begins and ends with you. The journey was never about becoming someone else. It was about returning to the self that existed before the noise, before the fear, before the world taught you to wait for permission. You were born with the raw material of greatness, awareness, focus, and will. You lost none of it. You only stopped listening. To depend on yourself is to remember that you are the axis of your own universe. Every thought sends a signal into the field of possibility. Every decision bends reality toward a new outcome. The cosmos does not reward hesitation. It responds to clarity. When you act with conviction, life reorganizes itself around your direction. Energy follows decision. But this is more than philosophy. It is law. Your emotions follow your focus. Your focus follows your beliefs. And your beliefs follow the story you tell yourself each day. Change the story, and you change the vibration of your entire existence. You were never powerless. You were distracted. You were never unworthy. You were disconnected from your own source. The world told you to seek validation from applause, love from approval, and peace from success. But all those roads lead back to one place: yourself. The one who can stand alone in silence and still feel whole. Freedom is not escaping life's weight. It's carrying it with grace. Confidence is not noise. It's quiet self-trust. Discipline is not suffering. It's sacred structure. The alignment between will and destiny. If there is one lesson that unites every principle in this book, it is this: you become unstoppable when you no longer betray your own potential. When your word becomes law in your own mind. When your actions match your vision and your energy obeys your purpose. That is self-dependence. That is power. That is the return to self. So now, as this journey ends, a new one begins. Not outward, but inward. You do not need more time, more approval, more luck. You need more presence, the courage to meet yourself fully, to face the parts you hide, to forgive the versions you outgrew, to honor the truth that has always waited for you. When you live from that center, fear loses its voice. When you live from that center, failure becomes feedback. When you live from that center, you stop chasing purpose and start radiating it. This is your final reminder. No one is coming to save you, because you were never meant to be rescued. You were meant to rise. You were meant to remember. You were meant to build the kind of strength that does not need witnesses to exist. The return to self is not the end of the book. It is the beginning of mastery. From this moment on, walk as the author of your life, not its echo. Speak your truth quietly, but with fire. Act with calm power. And when doubt visits, smile. It means you're expanding. Because now, you know, everything you seek, the freedom, the peace, the power, has always been waiting behind one decision. Epilogue. The quiet power within. There comes a silence after growth, the kind that doesn't need applause. It's not emptiness, but arrival. You've walked through fear, waiting, and doubt, and now you understand. Power was never outside you. It was in your awareness all along. Freedom is not doing whatever you want. It's mastering yourself so completely that nothing owns your mind. Discipline is not a cage. It's the doorway back to peace. Each time you kept a promise, faced discomfort, or chose truth over approval, you were returning home to yourself. You no longer chase validation. You move with purpose. You no longer fear silence. You draw strength from it. You no longer wait for signs. You are the signal. The universe mirrors your state. When your mind is clear, life flows. When your energy is focused, opportunities align. When your actions match your vision, reality obeys. This is the law of creation. Energy follows decision. So carry this truth. Freedom is built, not found. Discipline is sacred, not cruel. Self-trust is the highest form of faith. From here, you walk quietly, but unshakably, not to prove, but to live. The world does not need another seeker of light. It needs a source of it. And now, that source is you. If something you heard today shifted your perspective, help it reach one more person who's ready for change. And if you want to keep growing with us, subscribe. This space will be here when you need it.